Hello everyone. In our last video we was up until here to create the banner section, and as you see we can see the banner data logged in our console. So right now what we need to do from this banner, we need to make it similarly like this fashion. So we're gonna make that one. It's very simple to do. So first thing first, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna separate that. As you see, that one is the separate one banner, that two is separate also. So in the smaller screen it will just come along aligned with that. So to compile with that, first I'm gonna make that as a single banner, which going to be take the first one should be banners array. In the first index should be the single banner. And now what I'm gonna do is that to make it align with, so I'm gonna take our container parameter, container, and within the container I'm gonna take two separate divs. So it will be div into two. So into div, the first div we can go through it one by one. So first it's gonna be of that left hub, which will be a single image banner. So it will be single image, and the second one, it should be the right hub, should be double image. So now we need to go with that according to this aspect ratio. So for that container, what I'm gonna do is that with a class name, which going to be, I'm gonna create it as a grid, and grid call should be 1, and md grid call should be 3, and I think that's enough. And I'm gonna give a gap of 5, and md gap should be 10, and also I think md max height, I'm gonna provide a maximum height should be 600 pixel. So that would be for the first ratio. So now here what I'm gonna do, within that particular div I'm gonna take another div, or first we can render the image first, then we can go through with the other properties. So I'm gonna take an image tag, and also need to import from that the next image. So now this image, it will not be like normal URL. It should be typically with a different format. Like if we put search as source, then URL4, remember in that Sanity lib we have one function is maintained there for URL4, by which it can get return that image, the source it gonna return directly, so that image can be there. So for that image we will make that as the single banner, and from there should be the image, and then after we need to get the URL of the image. Okay, so after that also for the alternative tag, it will be like we're gonna also provide the title, which should be banners, and it will be, or we can just make that as a single banner dot title. Save. And after saving, also we need to provide that width and height, because Next.js it gonna fetch from their Sanity domain. So width and height should be 500 by 500. And after that, one more property ratio should be there, the CDN configuration within the Sanity. So that configuration we need to configure, and to do that what we need to do is to go in our next.config.mjs file. So that's the one, I think. Oh, now it's next.config.ts file. So here we need to configure our properties. So first we will just gather the image properties, which can be an object, and then we're going to define our remote patterns, which will be an array. So first array, we're going to define the protocol, which going to be HTTPS. As you see, the request is coming here directly with an HTTPS cdn sanity.io, and we need to configure that particular domain here. So the host name should be this one. So that's the protocol, and that's the host name. Done. So that's the one. Also we need to provide one more, which going to be coming up from the Google later on. I'm gonna just keep that one for the image, which we're gonna render from the Google. Okay, I'm gonna close that, and right now if we come over here, I'm gonna just hit reload. It's better to close your terminal and then start. So we're using turbo. Let's see if it can compile and it can maintain that ratio. Okay, that's cool. It's compiled already, and it was faster than the webpack in a way. So right now we need to make a lot of work here. So first thing first, in that div we need to create some properties. So the class name in md should be call span of 2. Remember, we provide the tree of call span, so we're gonna take 2 of that. So that will be take that 3, and like if we divide in 3 portion, it will take the 2 portion. That property is gonna take 1 portion in that MD screen properties. And also BJ should be light background BJ. I'm gonna make it relative, make it a flex, items end. All the properties going to be taken hit. You can go with either way, and you can just type it alongside. So justify should be end, and also rounded should be LG, and overflow I want to make it hidden, and I'm gonna make it as group. Okay, so right now as you see, that's giving that particular ratio, and on that particular image properties, so I'm gonna keep that image. After that image, I'm gonna take a separate properties, and for that image also, let's just define some class name. Should be object should be contain, and height should be 72, and MD height should be full. So other screen it will be 72, and in MD it will take the full height of the parent. But max height, we're gonna also force it to keep it as a 600 pixel ratio, and self should be end, self end. And also whenever I'm gonna hover on the group, it should be a scale of 105, and also I'm gonna provide that hover effect. Means, remember, we make it as a group, so whenever we're gonna hover on that particular instance, it gonna give that. So I think it's the time to create this portion. So in here I'm gonna take another, so in that div I'm gonna take a let's say within that div property, I'm gonna take another div, because we need to create some absolute instances. So first I'm gonna make a button here so that you can only see what's going on. So in that cell we're gonna make that single banner dot price. Okay, that's the properties. Let's see if we can see any value. You see that cell, the price is available here, but it's not visible in that end. So to make that, we're gonna make it also provide the height of full height we're gonna give, and after that Z gonna be 10, so that it gonna pop up after the image. Okay, and then we're gonna make it an absolute. Left should be 10, and then from the top should be 0, and make it a flex going to be column. Justify should be center, item should be start, gap should be 5, and MD gap should be 10. So you see, it's all are in the center. Okay, I think it's getting better. So now in that particular div, class name flex should be column, and gap should be 1, and whenever hit the MD, gap should be 3. Done. Now we have our button, so let's just make some class name for the button. You can go through to create in a dynamic way. I'm gonna go in a normal fashion. It all depends on you. So it will not be like that. Need to put a class name. BJ should be light green, text should be white text, rounded full, width going to be 20, padding Y should be 1, and text I'm gonna put in a small text parameter. Font should be semi bold, and whenever we're gonna hover, background color should be green, GREEN, green should be 600, and we're gonna maintain that our hover effect properties. Now you see, that's the instance. I think that's the similar what we have been created before. So right now we have one properties, that's the button. So after button, let's put the title should be single banner dot title, so you can see the title. Okay, and after that put another h2 tag, should be single banner dot subtitle, and after subtitle we're gonna just push through that our description should be single banner dot description. So I think, yeah, right now anything there. I think one more property is pending, that another button is on the below. So after that p tag, or not that p tag, immediate that div, I'm gonna provide that button which gonna say shop now. We can say in a button, or we can just directly wrap in a link, so that whenever anyone can click, it gonna just render it within the shop page. so we can redirect that particular instance. Okay, so right now we have that instances. So what I'm gonna do, grab all the class name to make it looks better. So it should be class name, and text should be Excel, and MD text should be 3XL, and font should be semi-bold. I think, yeah, quite good. H2 text should be 2XL, MD text should be 6XL, and font should be bold. Okay, perfect. So for that description over there, class name, that text should be extra small, and MD text should be small text, and text should be black within a 60% of opacity. Font should be medium, and max width should be 44. Okay, you see, that's the similar alignment which we have been created before. And now with that link parameter, let's just go and make that padding X should be 4, padding Y should be 2, and text should be a small text. I think that's the same ratio, but there is some changes which we can actually create a button for, like, to create that instances. Like, we can use that button on and on. Instead of running every time creating this button set properties, we can make something similar fashion, create a separate component which going to provide us button.tsx rfce. Now here we can render our button. So instead of keeping it here, we can just directly cut, so save, and here we can render our button. So yeah, button which going to be shop now. So that's the button properties we're gonna render here. To maintain that ratio, to maintain that properties, we're gonna take two things from there, which will be maintain our interface, going to be props, children, which will be react node, and then the class name, if there is available, it should be a string, and on that instances it should be that children, and also you're gonna grab the class name which gonna pass that properties. And instead of this parameter, we're gonna take a button parameter here, and for that button we're gonna render our children, so that you can see the shop now, it should be aligned here right now. Okay, cool. And for the class name, we're gonna go with that tw marsh parameter. First we're gonna define our class name, so bj should be light orange, text should be the base text, and text gonna be the white color, and whenever we're gonna hover, the text should be dark orange, and we're gonna provide that hover effect parameter, so that gonna give a good example on that. Padding X should be MD, padding X should be 8, and MD padding Y should be 3, rounded should be full, and font should be semi-bold. So that's the default class name. Then we can also render our own class name, and as you see, it's getting much bigger, which should not be. So as you see, it's getting the overall ratio. So what we can do here in that banner section, we can provide like pass some of the dummy class name, right? So padding X should be 4, padding Y should be 2, and text should be small, so that it gonna no, it's not giving the way it's supposed to be. I think we should maintain some curvings here. What's we are missing right here, so let's just go in the button. So that's the div we are maintaining here, and we create it as an absolute div. I think it should work, but okay, let's just go through with some other parameter. So that's our button. Here in the button, what we have been missed, so we put an MD. Okay, I think we can provide a width here instead of padding or other properties. We're gonna just make a width of 32. Yeah, we can pass that. So I'm gonna make it 44. Yeah, and also padding X should be 0. I think it should be go on that. So 40 gonna be fine, or 36. Yeah, perfect. So now we can go on that particular ratio. Okay, we're good to go. So we have one left side banner, and if we just make it in a smaller screen, you see that's not looking so nice, because whenever, and the padding Y should be 2, or we can say 2.5. okay, you see, now it looks good, perfect. Okay, so now also you can manage the button, but it depends on you how the way you want to feel to make your design should be look alike. But for me, I think that's going to be enough. Yeah, okay. So now we need to provide that one side is done, so it should be our left side, right? Sorry, the right side right now. And for the right side, what we're gonna do is that, remember, we have our other 2. So we, from the 2, we're gonna slice that our array, which we have that banner slice. We're gonna take 1 and 3, right? On that pair instances, we're gonna map through it, and that would be an item which is going to be a banner data. So that data types is, we doesn't have that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a type here. So should be type.ts folder, and here I'm gonna pass all over the types which I may require in my entire build. So in that banner section, you can see we have id underscore id, which is a string, type created at also is a string, updated at, and the underscore rave, image type, and title, subtitle, which is a string, price is number, description is a string. So that's the banner data, that's the image asset, that's our flag, and that's our category. And then we have our product data. You can console log, and you can see that's the ratio which we are passing. So that's the entire thing which we are dealing with. So you need to provide that type parameter. So I'm gonna just import that type for the banner data. And after importing it, we need to also fulfill the other requirement, should be inline return. Okay, so within the first bracket, we will return a div parameter, and within the div, we're gonna render another div because we need to congest with the several properties. And then I'm gonna take a p tag where I'm gonna provide that item dot title. And for that div, provide a key, should be let's say item dot whatever having the unique. I'll provide the ID. Now if we roll back here, as you see, we have 2 parameters right there, so it's working perfectly. Now it's time to grab the image section so that we can show something. So instead of working on that in that layer, I'm gonna go outer layer here, and I'm gonna render an image here so that the something gonna be visible. And the source, it will be url4, and on that I'm gonna provide that item dot our image, and from there I'm gonna just get the URL. And also for the also tag, it should be our item dot, oops, that's a mistake, it should be item dot title. And for the weight, I'm gonna provide at same ratio, 500 by 500. Hit save. Let's see what is coming by default. You see there is 2 images, but it's overall is looks terrible. So we need to define something. Put a class name. Object should be contain, and height should be 72, and MD height should be 60, and then width should be 1 by 2 because there will be a 2 ratio. And whenever I'm gonna make it in a group hover, scale should be 105, not 150, 105, and we're gonna provide that hover effect. Right now you will not get anything, any hover effect, but we're gonna render it. How we can render? Remember, we have one parent div, so put a class name over there. Height should be the full height of the parent. MD height should be 1 by 2, the half of the parent. BJ should be BJ light, and then rounded should be LG. Also our flow should be hidden, flex, justify, center, item should be center, and padding should be 5. I'm gonna make it as a group so that whenever we are hovering, something gonna pop up. As you see, okay, looks not so bad. Now there is another properties which we need to inject. Remember that parent layer of the div. So for here, put a class name, should be flex, flex should be column, and space y should be 5, so giving a vertical space of 5. MD space y should be 10, and then height should be auto. Remember, for the max MD screen, we are providing the max height which previously we set for 600 pixel. This time also we're gonna set for 600 pixel. So that's the ratio we are having here. That's the ratio we are having here. If we go in a smaller screen, you see that just aligns. So right now everything is going to kick start, but we need to provide our other properties, the text and other thing. So now you can create in a dynamic way, but what I love in that here in this build to go in a very normal properties. So there will be our title should be another p tag should be item dot subtitle. Now for the class name 1/2 flex should be column. So right now, okay, these two properties is available. Put a class name, and I'm gonna make a text of 2XL. Font should be semi-bold, and for the subtitle here, class name text should be 3XL. Font should be bold. Okay, look, now I think it's quite nice. So now after that div instance, I'm gonna start on that from should be our item dot price. So now as you see 69.99, we're gonna hit that price. Don't worry, we're gonna make it in a different way, but first make a range on that. Margin top should be 3, font should be medium, text should be black text within a 50 I think 60% opacity. Quite do the trick. Okay, done. And I think the button, okay, it's the different button. So what I'm gonna do on that particular instances, taking the link, and here it should be shop now with an exclamation mark, and what we're gonna do, the href gonna wrap up with the shop parameter. So that would be the button. Now for the button instance, put a class name. Margin top should be 5 and font should be bold, and we're going to provide the underline offset should be 2, so it's gonna be just coming in the layer of the 2px, and provide the decoration of 1 pixel, so it's gonna be a thinner one. And whenever we're gonna hover, text should be light red, and also you're gonna provide that hover effect to come and show the trick. You see? Okay, quite good. So now as you see in that price, we are not we are putting in the $sign. That same component we are also rendering everywhere. Like, we are not providing the $sign as a dummy $sign, we're rendering it dynamically. So how we can do that, how we can format the price in any of the currency. To do that, we will take a different file, a separate one, which will be formatted price.tsx rfce. Here in that file, we're gonna combine that formation and gonna make something to go in a unique way. So first thing first, we are just going to different that interface of that property, the props properties, and here we're gonna pass that amount, which going to be a number, and then also we're gonna pass that the class name. Class name, it will always not be there, but whenever it's there, it should be a string parameter. And right now in the props properties, we're gonna take the amount, we're gonna take the class name, and then we're gonna pass it as a props parameter. So in that, we will not take a div, we will take a span tag here. Right now I'm gonna just provide a 0, but here I'm gonna show you the trick. So we have one amount, right? So what we're gonna do for that amount, or first we can just start the class name. So tw marge. So by default, we're gonna provide a class name. Text should be base and font should be semi-bold. That's the default class name. Then we're gonna provide our separate class name. Now we have dummy amount, right? So if we just go here and say this price, we're gonna pass that with the formatted price, and within the amount, we're gonna just drop our price so that we can see the price is visible there, right? So if we go back here, the similar thing, we have the price, not here, should be here. We have the 0, right? But we need to start working to make it look much better. But we can also pass the class name, because as we set up the class name, so the text should be light red and font should be bold, the default one. So default is semi-bold, we keep it as bold. See, 0 is there, but from there we need to now set up our dollar in Sigma, right? And to combine with that, what we can do, you see that amount, we need to transfer that amount with any of the local amount we want to grab, not hard coded but within the function. So const should be price format is equal to, we're gonna take a new number, should be that's the JavaScript notation, we are injecting direct JavaScript there. So amount dot to local string, and which local string we want to use, we want to use for right now English and USA. And from here we need to provide a currency name which is going to be USD. If you want to use your local currency, you can just go with your local flag, and style should be the name of currency. And also we need to provide that minimum fraction of digits, so like it gonna pass the penny, right? So $1 is 100 pennies, so it will just come 100.00. so that's the way it's going to be rendering. And here we're gonna provide that our price format, or you can say the formatted price, is depends on you. So I need to inject it within the curly braces, so it should be price format. Hit save, and let's see the moment of truth. As you see, we are just there to go and work with that. So right now what we have our banner. So it's time to build our other parameters, these sections, and then we'll go to create our product section. So right now, first we can build this section here for the facilities we can call. So to do it here, we're gonna take a separate component. I'm gonna provide the name of facilities.tsx or FCE, and now we can use that facilities directly in our page. So it should be user page. So after the banner, we're gonna pass that facilities. So here we're gonna provide that our this data ratio here. So as you see, the facilities is just taking the off. So let's go here, and first thing first, we need to provide a data layer, right? So to create a data, we will go with our index folder, index file here. So we have our footer data, then we have our banner nav list data. So here we can make that const should be we also need to export it, export const facilities data, and here also it should be an array, or you can, instead of keeping it here, we can just go in directly, just render it here. That's the same thing. So we're gonna just put a data should be an array. Within array there should be an object. First we need to provide the title, which we're going to say as free delivery, and then we will provide the description, IP description, which going to be as when ordering, like ORDER, ordering above $500. And after that we also need to provide an icon, or I can just go with this small letter. That icon should be go rocket. So in that ratio we need to provide that properties. So we need to have 4 properties here. One should be for free delivery, one should be for 90 days return properties, and another would be for secure payment. So just to keep the customer that referring with our payment authentication should be a very secure one, and then 24/7 the pie chart. So that's the parameters we are going to entertain. So after that facilities, remember in our application layer, like in the app layer, in that page you see already we are indicating the container, so it's already within the container, so we should not be worried about for the max width and height. As you see, it's gonna be flexed within these properties. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just make that data dot map, I'm gonna take as an item, and here inline return, and that return I'm gonna just grab a div, and within that div properties, okay, self-closing div should be, I think, why it's not coming, sometimes it's just not working the way it's supposed to be. So here particularly what I'm gonna do is that put an span tag. For right now I'm gonna just, or span you can say, or I can say I'm gonna render another div, and then I'm gonna provide an h2 parameter where I can say item dot title, and after that put a p tag should be item dot description, and gonna get an it. You see, the all the error is till now we are not working any of the client side, only the search component. Beside the search, everything in server side. That's why your error is coming in the server. So we need to provide the key, should be item dot. As now this one, the title is unique, a different title, so I'm gonna provide that. So now as you see, this coming here is good. So after like top of that div, I'm gonna render the span tag, should be item dot icon. So it's gonna showcase our icon over there. To make it looks much more better, let's go in the top layer, put a padding y of 10, and then I'm gonna provide is a grid calls should be 1 md, and it's gonna hit that grid calls of 2, and I think md I'm gonna provide 4, but sm I'm gonna provide 2 as the small properties is there. So grid calls of 2, and then let's put a gap of 5 just to go and combine with that other ratio. As you see, looks quite well. Now you see, if we go over here in that ratio, okay, fine, okay, cool, not bad. Now we need to make some more design parameter here. So let's put the class name flex should be flex column, and sm should be flex row, and item should be center, gap should be 3. Okay, you see, looks quite good. In that span tag, that should be text should be 3 XL, and also we're gonna provide that text should be light orange. And for that particular div properties, put a class name, I'm gonna make it as text should be center align, and sm text should be left align. And for the title properties, we're gonna just simply make it as uppercase, and also font should be bold. And for the description, only a slight changes should be there. Text should be sm, and text should be light text. Done. You see, that's the ratio. It's in the middle, also in the smaller screen, but you see, now it's working perfectly, and it's giving the pretty much whatever we are needing right now. So this time we need to set up our product to showcase the product to the customer, and to go and align with the product, we will create another file which we're going to provide the name of that product list.tsx. Let's hit RAFCE to create that product list parameter, and again, as same as the facilities, we will take that product list right to our parent. And now you can see the product list is available. So in that product list, we're gonna grab our properties. If we go back in the banner, remember the way, not this banner, our component layer banner, remember the way we call our products at the top, we will do the same trick here, right? So let's go in that product list. We will create it as an asynchronous function, should be async function, and const products, and that we're gonna provide that products data type, and should be as an empty structure on that is equal to await what it gonna be, get products data. So that's the function we're gonna call. Remember the function we have been created here. It's gonna render the grok query for that. It's gonna go and type get all the available products. Remember, we tried, if we just roll back to our studio here, so in the studio setup we can just roll back there and pass the grok just to check if it's working directly or not. If it's not working, we can configure. Let's it loaded, then we can hit to set up that. So within that grok query we are getting the data, then we are passing that, just returning that products data value to the parent wherever we're gonna call. So no need to create the JSON and other properties, because that query handler is just handling by itself. The Sanity is maintaining, that client is the one which is maintaining each and everything. So now if we roll back there, as you see in the vision, we can just pass our query here. So within that properties, I'm going to remove all, pass that our data layer hits, and you see we have our 12 products with all available properties. So let's just check if we can load our properties here. So I'm gonna just lock the products right now, so it should be products, and once is everything, if it's working or combined properly, you see we're getting our product. Now you may see the type here, that's the title which we have. You see the title is a string parameter, that's the category which you have, which the category is an object, array of object. So that's the properties which we configure. So you can go through the types, all the types array is available there, then you can combine that one. So we got our products. So right now as we have the products, we can go and manage that one to combine, to do some tricks on that. So should be products.map, and I'm gonna pass it as an item, and here I'm gonna render here I'm going to render a separate component just to showcase how we can make it more plausible. So it should be product card.tsx rfce, and we're gonna grab it here directly to pass that one, product card. And if we save that one, need to pass the key, should be item dot, let's say the id, which is the unique one. And if we roll back here, you see that product card is available. So many people, you can say like people, they can say, why rendering a product card? You can render it here. Yeah, we can render, no problem, but it just, I want to create it in a separate constant, but we can render it here. So item should be item. So like sometimes you can use some of that other parameters, pagination and other, so it's better to create in the product list, in the parents, not in that like prime layer on the product. So now in that product card, we will simply get one parameter, which is the item, and that item, it should be the type of product data. So now we have our product, right? So in that product instance, how we can configure and showcase our product. To do that, in that particular instance on the div, put a class name, which is going to be, it will be border, and border should be border, we're gonna make it 1 pixel. Okay, and border should be light text with a 40% opacity. Rounded should be MD. I'm gonna make it as a relative. I'm gonna make it also a group. Overflow should be hidden. So the border, I think, yeah, that's one is okay. We can make it as a px. Okay, you see, we have that properties. I think everything is running perfectly, but one thing we need to set in our parent layer over here, need to provide a class name, should be the grid properties, and grid call should be 1 by default, MD, grid call should be 2, and whenever gonna hit in LG skin, grid column should be 4, and gonna gap should be F5 of the gap. Now you see we have our product ratio. From this parameter, we're gonna take it this one, just grabbing from 1 to 0. So now in that product card, I'm gonna close others. So here, how we can just make and stack the flow on that. And after that product card, I'm gonna first render the image properties. So put a div, and here I'm gonna provide the link, and also need to import that. And on that link, I'm gonna provide our image parameter, like the image for getting from the next image. And whenever anyone just clicking on that link, we're gonna take them somewhere. Oops, it should be href. Whenever anyone gonna click on that, we're gonna go with the backtick, we're gonna take them to our product, and then / it should be item.slack.current. So that's the one we're gonna render, should be duct, and in that image parameter, we're gonna provide the source, should be url4, and then we're gonna provide that item dot our images there, and dot, we're gonna just pass that URL there. That's it. And for the alt tag, oops, it should be alt tag, it gonna be, let's just put that item dot type. I think that can render the value. And width, again, going to just make in the default one with height of 500. Hit save just to see if the image is rendering. Okay, cool, we got our image. And for that, we're gonna put a class name which should be full, and height we're gonna provide a 72. Object should be not contain, should be cover. And whenever we hover in the group, the scale should be 105, and we also combine that hover effect. You see now Okay, we got that effect. So it's a similar of that properties which is going to coming right now, but we can also make it much more better the way we can reflect on that. So that's the image property we did. So after that particular I think it's gonna make our flow and the div. I don't think so. Let's see. It's hidden already. So because it's hidden in the parent layer, also we can make to hidden on that layer also. I think it will do the same trick, but right now not needed, so I'm gonna keep it same. Actually, if it's not needed, I will not use the div here actually. So after that link, I'm gonna take another div. Okay, so now we are going to define our text parameter, like whatever the button, the variations we want to showcase. But first, there is a tricky thing is there, that's the ratings, the star mark. So and all are not the same color, right? So we need to combine that according to our ratings parameter. And how we can render that, it's very simple to do it. We will use the pure JavaScript to combine with that. So in that div, I'm going to take another div, and within that div, I'm going to render that. First, I'm going to take an array. An array, we're going to take it as a from how, and I'm going to declare the length. The length should be 5, so it will be array of 5. And then from that array, I'm going to map. Okay, and on that map, I'm going to take an underscore, I'm going to take an index. Okay, so that's the things I'm going to grab it. So then, okay, now the crazy thing going to work. So here I'm going to return what I'm going to return. I'm going to return an MD star. So first I'm going to return a star just to see what is going to happen. Also we need to provide a key value of should be key, and that key should be index. So right now what it's going to make, we should be able to see the star. You see, okay, we need to create that one. I think we will make it as a div. Okay, and here also put a class name. Our flow should be hidden, otherwise you see it was covering. I think we can, yeah, we can, yeah, now it's not covering. Cool. So now what we can do, you see the star mark, now we need to match with the combination of that ratings. We have a ratings, right? If we have the 4.5, the image, the rating color, it should be only 4.5. Like if you see the example here, we have 4.5, right? So, or I think it's 4. So 4 star is marked with the rating mark, another is not marked, right? It's 4.5. You see, one is not totally fully colored but little bit yellowish. So you can see the rating parameter from this instance. So we are going to create the same parameter right here. And how we can create? First, we will provide the fill properties. When we can say it's fill, if the index plus 1 and then is equal or greater, we're gonna make it the math.floor, so we can combine all together item dot ratings. So we have that, so that one will be filled. If it's fulfill the color combination, if it's match with the value, it should be filled. And now we're gonna provide that const half filled, and here we're gonna pass again index and also given a +1, and if is then we're gonna just make the smaller ratio on that. So the floor and then item dot ratings, and also and we're gonna make that index is greater than math or smaller than math dot cell, and then item dot ratings. So we got two parameters. One is the fill properties, one is the half fill properties. First we will make that one in a good shape on that. So the text should be base and text should be light text by default, and we're gonna make it a flex item center. Save. Is it working? Okay, cool. And this div going to be responsible to make it align. So padding x should be 6. Flex column should be everything. Item center, we're gonna gap of 2 from the parent layer, so it will be in the middle. Okay, in the middle. Cool. So right now what we are going to do, in that MD star, put a class name over here. So all the trick we're gonna start finishing from there. So we're gonna send the $sign. What are you gonna say? If it's filled, okay? If it's filled, then what it's going to do, the text should be, we're gonna provide a dummy color on that, FA8900 if it's filled, and after that if it's half filled, then also we're gonna provide some class name and that text should be, let's say I'm going to provide a yellow color, yellow of, let's say, of 300. And after that, if it's not matching any ratio, the default one text should be light text. Done. Now we should be having a good combination. You see, if it's 4.5, it's coming with that. If it's 4, it's just combining with that. So now we have that ratio, right? So that's the parameter which we declare to combine with that our array of star. Then we're gonna provide that it should be item dot brand, and after that take another parameter should be item dot title, and after that a p tag where you're gonna say item dot description. Okay, right now see where we are heading. We should see the data. Okay, cool, we are having the data, but we need to make it looks in a better way, right? So put a class name, we're gonna make it an uppercase, and text should be extra small, font should be medium, and text should be light orange. And for the title, put a class name, text should be base, font should be semi bold, and text color should be the accent color, and line clamp should be 1, so it will not be go beyond that one line. I think the similar, yeah, similar. And after, on the description we need to work a bit, so class name, and here we say let's say text should be center, text should be extra small, I think extra small, or I'm going to provide a small text, and line clamp should be 2, so after 2 it will not go and make it there. So as you see, it just finished within the 2 line parameter. Okay, and within that ratio we will take another div, and within that div we will take a p tag, or we can just simply take that formatted price, and within that price I'm gonna provide that amount which should be item dot price, and I will just copy paste that one, should be the okay, one should be the price, one should be the raw price. So the 2 prices available here. So in that div, put a class name, should be flex, item center, gap should be 3, margin bottom should be 5 to push things in bottom layer. Okay, so now here in the raw price we need to combine some of the class name. So the class name text should be light text and line through. For that price, text should be dark orange, font should be bold. So we got our ratio, so we know which price is applicable now, so we can also go and connect the discounted available ratio here. So now we need to provide the button, right? And that button, for that button we're gonna take a separate component, because that button we should be an client component, as we need to save that data to in that instance. So cart button.tsx rfce. So here we're gonna combine our cart button, add to cart button, and within that parameter we can just go and hit and click all other ratio. So we will grab it here, and it's gonna make add to cart button. So we should be able to see, you see the button. Okay, so right now what we're gonna do, we're gonna pass all of our item there, because whenever we're gonna adding to the cart on the product, we should be able to create so many instances, right? So define the interface should be props. We can grab that item which going to be as a product data, and then also we can grab the class name here. Like if you want to pass the style there also, you can do it. So here we can define that class name. We can, or first we will take the item, then the class name. Good. And that could be grabbed from the props. And instead of the div, we're gonna just simply take the button, and here it's gonna say add to cart. Okay, now we will make so many changes here. So the class name should be tw merge, and here we're gonna provide bj should be accent color, text should be white, width should be full, padding y should be 2, and you're going to provide a border, and the border should be 1 pixel, and border color should be accent. Hit save. We should be able to see something right now. Okay, we can see something. And after that, whenever we're gonna hover, bj should be dark orange. Whenever we're gonna hover, border should be dark orange, and we're gonna provide that hover effect. That will not be bj, that should be that border. I'm gonna get the hover effect, and I think we will define some of the font semi-bold. Tracking should be white, flex item center, justify center, gap should be 1. And why we are doing that? Because once we are going to add to cart, we will pass a loader here. Right now you can see, because it's taking a very quick action, that's why, but a loader it will be there. Okay, so now I think we are very much good to go and create other instances. So right now I think that looks better. So let's go create an I think yeah, so we can go and combine our shop page to showcase all over the data, so that it can passing that variable and properties, right? So to do that, in that instance, I'm gonna close all. Later on we're gonna come back on that to create whenever we're gonna set the other properties. So here we're gonna combine that shop, and which going to be page.tsx rafce, and on that it should be shop page, and we're gonna render it within that our container. And within that we're gonna provide an h2, say all available product list, and after that we just going to render the product list. Done. Now if we just directly go in our shop, so the page is there, you see all available product list is there. So let's go over here, put a class name, text should be 2xl, font should be semi-bold, margin bottom should be 5, and from here put a class name, padding y should be 5. Okay, that's the layer here. I think padding y didn't get it yet. Okay, cool. So now we have this similar fashion and other properties. We can go back to the home and just to go and finish all other instances. I think that is quite slick. So first let's just create a loader right now, because right now what's happening, we can see whenever the data, because if you just keep a reload here, as you see, it's taking a bit of time to load the data, right? And to do that, in that user ratio, I'm gonna take a file called loading.tsx sx rafce. Oops, it didn't create that, so should be ce, and I'm gonna make a name of loading page, and here I'm gonna combine a separate ratio which is going to be loader.tsx rafce. So here I'm gonna pass that loader. First, instead of passing here directly right now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just cut everything. I think all of that. I'm gonna just pass the loader right now here, just to see the design and style if it's working perfectly. So you should be able to see our loader. So now let's create that loader dynamically so that it can just to go in a unique way. So what we did here, we can, and there is a very good extension there, which is the v0 dev. You can just go and combine a loader here. From that you can just create a loader. You can ask the way you want to prefer your loader, like I want to have a loader in my Next.js app, same like activity indicator in React Native. It should spin. Okay, so that's the one I'm using, the v0 dev, which from the Vercel, and it's super cool because it's gonna render the properties in a very similar fashion and in a very perfect way. You see how it's going to combine. You see Now you have your loader, right? You have your spinner loader, the similar fashion, and it's going to be cool. Now we have here we have a different one, so you can also create that different one. Doesn't matter, you need to just ask. You see, spinner example is there. Okay, so which one you want to use, you can use. So you can go and ask to it in several perspective. It's gonna render you that, but I already created one for me, so I'm gonna just grab that here. So that's the loader I'm gonna use, and also that loader going to pass the title. So should be, I can pass the title here, and title, if it's available, that should be a string. So what I did here is a simple loader instances here, which is going to be coming with an SVG. You see, I'm providing a maximum height properties like width, full, min, height, screen, BJ accent, flex call. I'm making it in center. If I just go over here and in my page here, so without that's, if I say loading, oops, not that. If I say title, which is going to be loading, it's also going to generate that title, you see. So it can also passing the title properties. And then we have one SVG properties, which for the spin animation, you see, that's a simple SVG formation which we create here to providing this stroke, and then that's it. So that is the parameter. You can just go and feel free to ask the GPT or any other platform or V0, it will render that one for you. So now we have that loader. So instead of rendering directly here, I'm going to go in the loading. Instead of that eternal div, I'm going to just pass our loader directly here. Okay. So now if we just go over here, if we just reload, if data is, you see the spinning is loading, you can pass that properties, or I think it's better to pass the title. It looks good. Loading. If we reload again, okay, loading, cool. So now we are having that properties even in the shop. As is a global loader, it's gonna fetch everywhere. So you can see it's properly is fetching and revalidating the loading instances and the data value also. So now as we have that properties, we can create the all the pages here, which is responsible to combine in that user properties. So what kind of page we gonna be here? I'm gonna remove others. So the page going to be creating a car. For right now, I'm gonna get for the product page, product, because we need to grab the single product ratio, right? So in that product, we will take another folder. It will be that dynamic folder, and on the slug, I'm gonna take a page.tsx rfce, and that page should be as a single product page. So right now, if we go and click on that particular instances, we should be we can see right now here, it just providing that properties. So now the slug is just coming in the route section, right? So let's go and start popping things in a proper way. So first thing first, I'm going to wrap it within the container properties to make it looks much better. Okay, so now I have the slug, right? So how we can do that? First, let's provide the interface here, which is going to be props, and from the params, I can directly pass that slug, which is a string parameter, right? So how we can grab that? It should be coming as a params, and within the params, it's gonna be directly injected as a slug, and which going to be rendered in that props. If I just log and grab the slug here right now, we should be able to see the slug. You see, the slug properties is right here. So it's rendering, super simple. Okay, there is a slight error which we are facing. Okay, what is that? It's passing the params, getting the slug. Okay, I single screen props slug. What's wrong here? I think it's okay, should be okay. Anything we miss? Okay, param should be awaited before. Okay, awaited. So I think we can make an asynchronous way. Sync. No, what it's saying here. Okay, it's just a warning. Param should be emitted before its properties. Okay. Let's say I'm gonna just pass that. I will not pass any properties. I'm gonna say in that props. Let's see what we are getting within the props. Log, and just log the props. Let's see if anything is coming within the props. So in the props, no, nothing. So means no, we should be able to inject that one directly from params. Okay, URL. I think the previous one it was fine. It should be generated in the same fashion. There is okay. Okay, let's see if it's having an error or passing an issue. We can fix it later on. No worries. So right now we'll just go with that. So we are having the slag. Okay. Okay, so for that instance, we need to provide a query right now, right? To a grok query, and how we can set that. So if we just log in the slag, so let's put a log and see the slag, what kind of slag we are getting. You see that home is speaker. I'm gonna just copy that slag properties. Let's go over here and let's go to our studio first to generate a grok query with that slag properties. If we having it's similar like an id, but instead of id we are using the slag properties to grab our entire product. And how we can do that, let's go in the vision, and from that product property, you see the product. After the product, we're gonna provide another combination, should be slag dot current, and within that current properties, you see the value should be is equal to, we need to pass the value. So I'm gonna just pass that home speaker value right now, because okay, one should be down, I think two only. You see that we have home speaker right now. We are hard coding it, right? But whenever we're gonna sending it, we're gonna pass that within a zero index, right? So that's the one we need to combine and create it here. So what we're gonna do, const query is equal to, we're gonna call it as a grok query, and within the backtick we can just go with a star mark, and then we're gonna pass the third bracket here, and should be underscore type, and that type it should be is equal to the product, and remember we create that slag dot current, and that current is equal to, and we need to provide the dollar sign, and this should be slag, and within the slag should be the zero index. Okay, and within that properties, what do you want? We want everything from that particular properties. So we're gonna get each and every single data. Just check the query, it should be similar on that. So it should be the query on the grok properties, the product, and slag.current, and slag it should be the zero index when we need to grab that properties. So right now we're gonna make that as a product, is it should be the type should be that product data, and is equal to, we need to make it a await call, and whenever we're going to make it awake, we need to also make it async. So await client dot fetch, and from where we're going to fetch, we're going to pass the query, and within that query we're going to pass the slag. So if we just log the product, let's see what we are having here, should be product. Now you see we're rendering the product. Okay, and also the other error, it will disappear, don't worry about it, it's gonna just follow through. You see others are going also. So that's the one properties we have here, and then we have the other properties. If we go in our previous example, if we roll back to any of the smaller screen, you see we have the other parameter here by which we are getting that best seller data. And how we can get that, should be const best sellers sellers data. also should be product data type as an array is equal to await get best sellers data. Done. So now we have two properties to go and combine with that. I think this error is not disappearing. I think we need to write it in a different way, and how we can solve this. So instead of that slag, I think I'm gonna just keep it as a params. Okay, cool. And after that we need to combine with that. So const slag is equal to, that should await for the params. So we're gonna render that promise, and within that promise we will promise dot resolve, and within that resolve we're gonna resolve as the params. So now also we can see our slag. You see the error has been gone, so we are good to go. So right now first we need to provide our product, and then we need to provide the other properties. So over here we're gonna take a div. Within that div we're gonna take another div, and then we're gonna provide our image tag to showcase our product image. And on that particular instances the source should be url4, and here it should be product dot image, and on that instances we're gonna just pass the URL. And the similar one alternative should be it should be product dot title, and here also I think the width 500 by 500, and for the class name which should be full should be where we are writing. I think did we miss around anything? Image, oh, misleading there. Alt tag should be there. Put a class name, and width should be full, and height should be full, object should be contain. Now if we hit any of that, you see our image is there, but it looks very much bigger because we need to start working on that our parent layer of the div. So here in that container put a class name, margin y should be 10, bj should be bj light, and also in that div instances put a class name should be a grid columns of 1 md, grid columns of 2, and for lg grid columns of 6, and gap should be 4. I'm gonna provide a 4 of gap, and height should be full, and padding also 4. Okay, that's combine a pretty decent scenario here. So if you see that, okay, not so bad. And I think instead of Excel, I think 2 should be enough. Why I am providing that 6 here? I have no idea. So I think, yeah, that should be properly aligned. Okay, so right now one is here. Then after that image, let's put a class name, height should be full, and Excel call is span. I think there is a reason for that. Excel grid call should be 6. I think so. Yeah, I think that's the ratio we want. Yeah, so the smaller, yeah, a smaller one. Okay, that's cool. So now here I'm gonna take another div where I'm gonna render all the product information right now. So whatever the product information we are looking for, we're gonna enter it here, and we want to make it separately. Actually we can just need to provide that add to cart. We can render it here instead of providing another dummy parameter. And before doing that we will just go and render one more div, and here what we're gonna say, best seller data dot map should be taking the item, and here we're gonna pass that our product card. So whatever the data we are receiving here, product card, we are just gonna pass that. Key should be item dot id, and item should be our item. So it will be product should be available at the below layer. You see it's available there, and from here put a grid layer, grid calls 1 md, grid calls of 2, and for LG grid calls of 4 and put a gap of 5, the similar layer of our whatever we did in the home page. So we have the 5 product. Okay, done. So right now what we can do in that particular div, put a class name which should be full md call span should be 2 and axle call span should be 3 and axle padding should be 14, and we're gonna make it flex. We're gonna make it a flex column properties. Gap should be 6 and 6. Justify should be center. So now we are going to start pouring the other properties which should be generating the product info. To do that, I'm going to take one more div here, and in that div I'm going to put an h2 tag which is going to provide that product dot title. So we should be able to see the title here somewhere. You see the home speaker. Okay, cool. And I think, yeah, that's the similar fashion. I think it will go with that. So product the title, and after the title also we are passing one more div here, then the p tag, or we can just directly go with that for method price. And within the price we will pass the amount which going to be saying that it will be, so the first one, remember the way we did before, so that's the same parameter. I'm gonna just popping up the div because that's the same layer which we're gonna combine. So one things we are doing extra is that here we are passing one like we are passing that formatted raw price, then the price. So the way we used to do it, putting a line through, then making that font bold, then you are saying you saved, we are like minusing that raw price minus product price, so we are getting that difference. So you save that much from this item. So that's the message we are just passing. Okay, so now for that h2 tag, put a class name, and here text should be 4XL and font should be semi-bold. So you're gonna give a very good and compact title. You see, that would be like that. And for that div, let's put a class name here, flex item center. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put flex should be in column. I'm gonna put a gap of 5, so it's gonna push everything below there so that it can properly align. Okay, I think we did one part. So right now after that price section, so we have this one here. After that we also need to grab the star ratio, remember, which we did before. That's the star ratio we need to also provide. So first I'm gonna just grab that star ratio, which we know how it going to combine. We did it before, so you can just get that one from the previous one. So I'm gonna take a div, I'm gonna just pass that. Also need to provide that MD star icon here. Okay, so that's the same instances which we have been done, we are just putting it here. Okay, one extra thing what we are doing after that array, like after particularly finishing that properties, we are after that array we are getting another p tag, and right now we are getting a hard-coded value. Okay, should be that one, and we are passing that as a 5 customer reviews, because right now we don't have any reviews yet. Okay, that's the 5 customer reviews. And also here put a class name which text should be small text, font should be semi-bold, text should be accent with a 60% opacity, tracking should be white. Okay, perfect. And for the div, put a class name flex item center, gap should be 3, just to push and align a bit, you see. Okay, done. Now after that scenario on that particular div is done, so on that here I'm gonna take a p tag by which we're gonna render that product dot description. So we'll be able to see the description ratio, and after that description we will also provide one more properties, should be the first to leave a review. So here also you can provide the review section and others, so you can generate that one if you want to. So class name text should be small text, tracking should be white, text should be gray of 600, and for this one class name text should be small and text should be gray of 500. Okay, right now if everything going to work properly, we need to also provide our button should be add to cart button, and in that add to cart button we also provide that our item which is going to be the product, and also provide the class name which going to be rounded should be MD, padding Y should be 3. Let's see if we can see a button here. Okay, cool, that's the button. We are providing the rounded, but I think RUNDED rounded, why the rounded is not working, that's a mystery here. No, not yet. So add to cart button. Oh, we didn't pass that class name ratio here, you see. Oops, should be passing that. Okay, now it's working. So we are having that button properties, and after that button also we can provide one more set which is going to be a p tag, and there we will just pass the categories tag and other just to provide some dummy data ratio. As you see, it just gonna combine that. Okay, that's cool. So now what we build here today is that we are fetching our data, our banner, our products, and we are also able to go in a single product. So right now it's time to set up our storage or store, which we're gonna use that Redux toolkit. So we're gonna set it in the next video. Till then, finish it and we'll see in the next video.